So the epithelium of the tongue is at first made up of a single layer of cells. Later on it becomes stratified and papilla become evident. Taste buds are formed in relation to the terminal branch of the innervating nerve fiber. So taste buds are actually the terminal branch of the innervating nerve fiber. The circumvallate papillae of tongue develops from the cranial most part of the hypobrachial eminence and migrate to the anterior aspect of the sulcus terminalis. So we have another anomalies of the tongue, like we have sometimes we have the tongue is too large, that is known as macroglossia, or it is too small, that is known as the microglossia, and it may be used rarely it may be absent, that is known as the aglossia. So the tongue may be bifid because it is formed by the fusion of the two swellings, so it may not fuse and the tongue may be bifid. Sometimes we have seen that at the floor of the mouth we have a frenulum, overdeveloping frenulum, a mucus thickening of the mucous membrane. It may be overdeveloped and that is known as the tongue tie or ankyloglossia. A remnant of the thyroglossal duct may form the cyst at the base of the tongue. The surface of the tongue may show various fissures. Now we will see the development of the thyroid gland. I told you already that this is the midline thickening just behind the tuberculum impar. In relation to the second, third and fourth arch, a midline swelling, midline the proliferation of epithelium occur and form the another midline swelling, that is known as the hypobrachial eminence. What happened to the hypobrachial eminence? This eminence divides into the two parts, the cranial part and the caudal part. Here you can see this is the hypobrachial eminence. It is divided into the cranial part and the caudal part. The cranial part of the hypobrachial eminence is known as the copula, and it is formed in relation to the second and third arch, and the caudal part is formed in relation to the fourth arch. The caudal part of this hypobrachial eminence form the epiglottis. Okay? And the second so what happened to this hypobrachial eminence? The cranial most divided into the cranial most part and the caudal most part. The cranial most part forms the posterior most part of the tongue, that is due to as it is formed in relation to the fourth arch, so it forms the posterior most of the tongue and it is supplied by the superior laryngeal nerve, and the caudal part forms the epiglottis. Now we will see how the thyroid gland is formed. As I already told you, just behind the tuberculum impar we have the diverticula arises from the floor of the mouth and it goes downwards. So this downward diverticulum is known as the here you can see the site of foramen cecum. A diverticulum arises and it goes downward and forms a duct-like structure that is known as the thyroglossal duct. Later on this duct bifurcates, and this bifurcations later on forms the lobes of the thyroid gland. So here you can see this thyroglossal duct come in relation with the, you already know that that is known as the caudal pharyngeal, that is known as caudal pharyngeal complex. So that caudal pharyngeal complex is formed by the fusion of the fourth and the fifth arch. So it comes in relation with this lobes, and from this complex the parafollicular cells are formed. As you know, the thyroid glands have the follicles, and that follicles are surrounded by the cuboidal cells, and between that follicles we have the parafollicular cells, that is the C cells. So parafollicular cells are derived from the caudal pharyngeal arch, and the rest of the cells are derived from the thyroglossal duct, which bifurcates and forms the lobes. The rest of this duct later on obliterates. Sometimes what happens, this thyroglossal duct may persist. If it persists, it may lead to the formation of the various anomalies, like the thyroglossal cyst. The thyroglossal cyst that may occur anywhere along the course of the duct. They may occur secondary opening on the surface of the neck to form the fistula. So it may be as a cyst or it may be as a fistula opening at the foramen cecum. Sometimes the carcinoma also arises from it. So we have, it is important to remove it surgically, and all the fistula, the remnants. So if we have the thyroglossus 6, we have to remove all the tract of the thyroglossal duct. Just in relation to, we have to remember that rise in relation to the hyoid bone. We have the another anomalies of the thyroid gland. That one is that one thing is that sometimes we have the pyramidal lobe. This is the pyramidal lobe. It may arise from one of the lobe or from the isthmus. This is the isthmus, is the joining of the two lobes. So pyramidal lobe is so common. It is usually seen. It sometimes we say it is a common. It is not an anomaly. It is a common because it is very common among the humans. So what is this? The pyramidal lobe is the extra lobe. It is maybe seen arising from one of the lobe or from the isthmus. Sometimes the lobe is connected to the hyoid bone through a fibrous tissue that is known as the levator glandulae thyroidae. Okay? So it is sometimes attached to the hyoid bone through a fibrous tissue that is known as levator glandulae thyroidae. So sometimes what is the another anomalies of shape we can see? It may be one lobe, it may be one lobe may be small, another lobe be large, the isthmus may be absent. Another one is the anomaly of the position of the thyroid gland. The anomaly is the position of that gland. The thyroid gland is usually seen in the lower part of the neck, but it may be seen under the surface of the tongue. That is known as the lingual thyroid. The thyroid may be seen under the mucosa of the dorsum of the tongue. Intralingual, that is embedded within the muscle of the tongue, that is known as the intralingual thyroid. A suprahyoid thyroid, the gland may be seen in the midline of the neck just above the hyoid bone. So this is suprahyoid. It may be infrahyoid, that is, it means below the hyoid bone. It may be intrathoracic, the entire gland or a part of it may lie in the thorax. Okay, it may be these are the anomalies of the position. Sometimes we see the ectopic thyroid tissue. The small mass of thyroid tissue may be present at abnormal site. Like we can see, it is may be present into the larynx, it may be present in trachea, esophagus, pons, pleura, pericardium, and ovaries. So that is known as the ectopic thyroid tissue. Masses of the ectopic thyroid tissue may have described in relation to the deep cervical lymph nodes. So we can say the cancer, it may be represented as the lymph nodes from the carcinoma of the thyroid gland. Okay.